This is every fight to make after UFC Orlando. Around me, I have all of our key fighters, and I'm going to give you guys what I think could be and should be next for each one of them. The card was fantastic, so I'm actually really excited for the video. Make sure you guys smash the likes. Let me know what you think of the new series, and if you guys are new, subscribe. Starting it off with our main event winner, Wonder Boy Thompson. He put it on Kevin Holland. The fight was incredible. Both sides were willing to engage in a stand-up war, and I loved every second of the fight. Wonder Boy gets the win. It was a fourth round corner stoppage, and he looks 30 years old. I mean, he's fighting like prime Wonder Boy. I think we need to keep the same energy with giving him strikers. I don't want to see Wonder Boy Sean Brady. I don't want to see Wonder Boy versus any of those top tier grapplers in the weight class. Let's keep strikers in the mix and let's see who can knock Wonder Boy out. I don't think anybody's doing it, and it's crazy that Pettis did it. Guy that I think is next for him is going to be Michel Pereira. I think this is an action-packed fight, a guy who's going to be willing to engage Wonder Boy in a stand-up battle. I think it could be a fight night main event. I think it could be a pay-per-view featured bout of the night. Either way, sign me up for this matchup. I'm so excited that I think Wonder Boy has kind of re-emerged, but put himself in a position kind of like a Diaz, whereas I don't think they're going to give him the hell matchups to push him towards the title. I think it's fun fights from here on out versus guys who will engage him in his style of fighting, which is stand-up, and Pereira is the perfect opponent. This is the matchup I want for him. Wonder Boy, Pereira, hopefully sometime soon, 2023. Probably 6 months off for Wonder Boy. He did get in a good war with Kevin Holland, but I think this fight's going to happen. Let's keep running. Next is going to be Kevin Holland. I feel like the matchup for him is going to be a sensible one. And this is assuming he doesn't retire. I know before the fight, he kind of mentioned he might still be considering calling it a career, which I don't want for him because even in loss, he put on an incredible fight. Everybody wants to watch a Kevin Holland fight. And I think we just rebook the Daniel Rodriguez matchup. Rodriguez just lost to Neil Magny. Kevin Holland now coming on a 2-fight losing streak at welterweight. He's not going to be maybe towards the top end of the weight class, but D-Rod's still top 15. I think Kevin Holland can still emerge in the rankings, and this matchup makes a lot of sense to me. I want to see these two throw down. I think it's a good one for Kevin Holland. He's going to have that reach edge. And you know what? He just fought the best striker, maybe in MMA history with Wonder Boy. And Kevin Holland was able to touch him, land some shots. Obviously still got outgunned, outpointed, and eventually stopped. But I think he should be riding high with confidence moving into these matchups with more basic striking with somebody like Daniel Rodriguez. I think Wonder Boy would work really well in this fight. Or excuse me, I think Kevin Holland will work really well in this fight. If Wonder Boy was to get this matchup, I think he'd run right through D-Rod. So I think Kevin Holland, Daniel Rodriguez is what should be next for him. And I'm actually hoping that Kevin Holland doesn't call it a career, but I am a little bit nervous. I don't know. He's mentioned the retirement thing, which I don't love hearing, but I do think there's too much money to be left on the table and fun matchups coming up. And I think definitely Daniel Rodriguez is the fight for Kevin Holland. Let's go Holland, Daniel Rodriguez as the next fight. And let's keep going. Let's talk about RDA. He put it on Brian Barberena in his comeback to 170 pounds. As we all expected, though, a grappling assault, able to win the bout by submission, and he looked pretty status quo RDA. Looks like he hasn't really slowed down. He's definitely going to beat guys outside of that top 15. Then when you push him in the top 15, there's some killers there. And I mean, he already has a loss to Michael Chiesa, who I believe is ranked around 12 or 13. So I don't think you jump RDA into the rankings. I think you give him a sensible fight. I am doing a bit of Mystic Mac predicting with this next matchup, but I think that Santiago Ponzinibbio versus RDA is a fight that makes a lot of sense. I know that Ponzinibbio currently booked to be fighting against Robbie Lawler, and I love that fight. I think it's going to be a back-and-forth war. I guess I'm giving away a little early prediction here with Ponzinibbio. I think RDA Ponzinibbio is a great fight. Two veterans of the game. I feel like the matchup would be interesting too. Ponzinibbio probably more so wanting to keep it striking. RDA, I think, will want to get it to the floor. But Ponzinibbio is not a guy that's easily bullied on the ground. I want to see this matchup a lot. And for RDA, I think it's a sensible one. If he's then able to get past the Ponzinibbio, then maybe we talk about rankings for him. But he's definitely not a super young guy. You know, he's in his 38 now, I believe. So this is the later 30s for RDA. And he calls out Conor McGregor after the fight. I respect the call out. I love that he tried to jump at Conor. And I'd be curious to see that fight. But there's no money in it for Conor. It's not a big sellable matchup. It's not going to happen. RDA, I love that you're trying, but you're not getting Conor McGregor. I'll give you Ponzinibbio next, and I think that he has a good shot of winning that fight too, but I really do love that matchup. Let's keep moving. Oh, this next one. Sergey Pavlovich. He destroys Tai Tuivasa. I had been saying it since this fight got booked. This was a huge mistake for Tai. He took career-changing damage against Gane, and now he takes a beatdown of a lifetime against Sergey Pavlovich, getting knocked out in sub 1 minute. And this is Tai Tuivasa, who's known for the iron chin. Getting put down like that is very bad for the stock. But on the other side, Pavlovich, he's jumping way up. I mean, he's the Russian monster. He's the Drago of MMA right now. This generation's real terrifying force as far as heavyweight punchers go. And Ngannou obviously at the top as a devastating force. And I think that those two could potentially be on a collision course. But there's a very big obstacle in the way that I think Pavlovich has to get by first. It's Ciryl Gane, the most technical heavyweight striker we have ever seen. He moves like he's 185 pounds. He's extremely good from distance. But note this. He's going to be at a reach disadvantage with Pavlovich, who can box his ass off. Now, granted, I think there's a big kicking advantage towards the side of Ciryl Gane. So you have more of a MMA boxer-puncher style with Pavlovich versus the Muay Thai-esque kickboxing, even traditional martial arts style that is on the side of Ciryl Gane. I know he comes from the background of Muay Thai, but he moves like he's done karate, kung fu, and everything in between as far as stand-up. The dude is incredible, and I think these two are such, I don't know, like beautiful matchup for one another. Like it's a weird fight to predict because if Pavlovich is able to close that distance and land punches, he can knock anyone out. If Ciryl Gane can keep range, touch Pavlovich up, I mean, he can work him with body shots and maybe potentially get a TKO. I love this fight, and I think it's a fun clash of striking styles. I think the fans would be clamoring at the bit to see it. I do think this fight right here would be a heavyweight #1 contender fight. Now, heavyweight's a weird division right now because you have John Jones, who's probably fighting in Ngannou. You have Stipe just lingering in the wings somewhere. You have Curtis Blades, who's a monster wrestler who's still consistently moving his way back up to the top of the weight class. But this is the fight to see. It's Pavlovich, Ciryl Gane. I want to see it. Striker's delight. I want to see these great striker matchups. And I think this one would more than deliver. I'd say it'd be fireworks. And Pavlovich has earned it. And especially now Gane, having just gone back and forth with Tuivasa, and then Pavlovich just blitzing him, running him over in 50 seconds. I feel like Gane's now like, oh shit, I got to prove something against this Russian cat. This is the fight I want to see. Pavlovich, Ciryl Gane, sign me up. Please, UFC, make this fight happen. I need this fight, actually. Let's keep running. I'm going to jump to the side of Tai Tuivasa, who did take the devastating loss. I think, first and foremost, please, Tai, take 6 months off. This is 2 back-to-back serious concussions. I don't think he needs to be taking more head damage for at least half a year. Maybe more. Maybe take a year off. There's a fighter who's taken a serious injury in a recent main event, that being Tom Aspinall. I think these two are on a collision course. I do think it's a bad matchup for Tai Tuivasa, and he might be facing a 3-fight losing streak. But I was looking at the rankings, and I'm like, they're not going to do, what, a Derek Lewis rematch? Maybe if he loses this one, they do a Derek Lewis rematch. I don't think he's going to fight the likes of, I don't know, the winner of Rosenstruik and Chris Daukaus. I mean, that could happen if they're looking to give him a tune-up. But I don't think they do that with Tai. I mean, he was just ranked #4. He's still in that real top-tier mix as far as heavyweight goes. And I think he's going to be thrown to the Lions, and they're going to give him Tom Aspinall, who got injured, is going to be out for a while, but I think their timelines will line up. I actually thought this was the fight to make after Tai lost to Ciryl Gane. take a year off, let's recover, and let's match him up with Aspinall. Instead, he wants to do the quickest of turnarounds and fight Pavlovich, and you saw how that one ended. I do think Tai Tuivasa is a lot better than he showed against Sergey Pavlovich. It's just he was not recovered enough so to take that matchup. Big mistake on his end. Incredible for Pavlovich. I think Tom Aspinall, Tai Tuivasa, sometime towards maybe the third quarter of 2023, maybe even the fourth quarter of 2023. I'm all for this fight. Count me in. I want Aspinall Tuivasa to be made. And it's a very intriguing fight. Still, another scary one for Tai. He's probably better off taking a tune-up, but I doubt that happens. He'll be fighting Aspinall. Next, let's talk about the breakout performance. Roman Dolidze, the calf slicer to back control, ground and pound, TKO over Jack Hermansson, who doesn't get beat up like that very often, especially on the ground. Roman Dolidze is a problem with his jiu-jitsu. Granted, he was getting touched up with the striking a bit, but I say we got to ride high with Roman Dolidze. I don't want to put him in a risky matchup with somebody that's, towards the back end of the rankings at middleweight. I say we keep this momentum going. There's somebody that I've talked to personally. It's Marvin Vettori on Moneyline. He say he'll fight anyone, and I think he should be fighting Roman Dolidze next. He's kind of in a weird spot. He beat Paulo Costa, which is a great win, and he's still top echelon, but then he gets destroyed by Rob Whittaker. I don't know what the next matchup would be. Roman Dolidze, he just really emerged as like top tier, beating a guy who's in that top 8 in Jack Hermansson. I could see a Marvin Vettori fight in the future. I actually like that stylistic matchup. It's a little bit of a step down for Vettori, certainly, and then a huge chance for Dolidze. But I think Vettori might need, I don't want to call this a tune-up fight, a fight versus a guy that's not already proven as the top-tier talent. And Hermansson did something Vettori couldn't. He finished off Jack Hermansson. So Roman Dolidze did what Vettori had to do for 5 rounds, which control him on the floor. Dolidze's able to do it. I like Dolidze versus Vettori. I'm thinking about the fight, and I'm thinking logistically they might not do it just because of, I don't know, the rankings and where Dolidze's at. But I'm thinking shoot for the stars with Dolidze. Yeah, sure, they could give him an Andre Muniz, but then I think you risk killing the prospect in Dolidze versus, another crazy jiu-jitsu specialist. That's a fight I would like to see too. So if it's not Vettori, I'll do an asterisk around this one. I'm very down for Muniz versus Dolidze, and that fight might even make more sense. It's just he's ranked farther back than Hermansson. Dolidze riding high off a huge win. Vettori, I think, needing an opponent. Dolidze probably willing to fight pretty soon. I think we just ride the momentum straight up and we give him Vettori. Yeah, it's fast-tracking him a bit, and it might, cause him to, fumble and fall straight on his face. But what if he beats Vettori? Now Dolidze is a title challenger, and he's a tough matchup for Alex Pereira. All these elite grapplers are going to be hard fights for the champion of the world. So count me in. Dolidze versus Vettori. I want to see it because Dolidze did what Vettori couldn't. He finished Jack Hermansson off. Let's keep running. Let's talk about the flyweight. Matthias Nicolau, who had the breakout performance, knocking out Matt Schnell. Of course, there were some back-of-the-head strikes, but it is what it is. They counted officially as a knockout, and the knockdown was legitimate, and he was on his way to winning that fight. He looked clearly better. He's known for the jiu-jitsu, but he's got mad power in the hands, good movement. I love what I see from Nicolau, and I'm going to match him up versus Kai Kara-France, in which I think is probably a #1 contender fight, if not very close to it for Nicolau. Pantoja's also in the mix, and the reason I didn't pick Pantoja as the next fight for Nicolau is because I believe he's going to be serving as the backup for that UFC Championship flyweight 4th fight between Moreno and Figueiredo in Brazil. I do think Nicolau versus Pantoja in Brazil would be absolutely insane, and I'm down as hell for that fight, but I think it's going to be angled towards later with Kai Kara-France fighting Alex Perez, should he get past that, which I do believe he's going to. I think Nicolau versus Kai Kara-France is an interesting fight. I think other option is Pantoja in Brazil if there's an ability for a quick turnaround, and maybe Pantoja can still have the clause that, hey, I'm fighting for the belt if somebody falls out, but give Nicolau that big chance. But granted, don't know if Pantoja is going to want to take that risk because Nicolau is no easy out. He's got the goods overall. He's got the stand-up, he's got the movement, and he's got the ground skills. But I think Kai Kara-France, especially beating Alex Perez, which I think he's going to, will gladly take this fight. And I'd like to see it somewhere in the, first or second quarter, probably second quarter of 2023, summertime. I'm thinking summertime is when you see these two face off, and I think it would be a damn good flyweight fight between two real prospects in the weight, two real contenders in the weight. I mean, Kai Kara-France just lost to Moreno, but he's still not crazy far out from a title shot himself. But let's keep running. Let's talk about Jack Hermansson, who took a risk fighting a short notice replacement and ended up fumbling the bag, falling straight on his face here. I mean, I guess he didn't fall straight on his face. He got put there and then pounded out by Dolidze, who looked like a monster. I still think he's going to fight a ranked opponent, but this hurts for Jack Hermansson. You can't push him too far back in the rankings. I think Nasruddin Imavov is probably what's next for him. Imavov is lined up to fight Kelvin Gastelum, so a little early prediction there. I'm really looking into the future with these, but I think if the stars align, Jack Hermansson, Nasruddin Imavov is a fight that intrigues me because both guys are long strikers with grappling skills. I'm very curious how Imavov would look there. If he's able to beat a Kelvin Gastelum, I'd say why wouldn't he deserve the Jack Hermansson fight, especially a Hermansson who's then going to be coming off that Dolidze loss. The UFC could definitely go a different direction. I was also thinking a potential opponent for Hermansson could be Brad Tavares, but I'm like, damn, he's ranked 15th. Hermansson just, before this is beating Chris Curtis, and he's winning the fight with Dolidze up until the weird grappling exchange. So yeah, I think Imavov's the next fight for Hermansson if the stars align. Don't be mind blown if this isn't the fight that's made, but I like the fight. I'm curious to see it. Let's keep running. Let's go to our final one. We finish it off with the lady of the fucking card, Dog City. Angela Hill is a straight savage. Put it on Emily Ducote and got a clean, unanimous decision win, outstriking this girl for the entire 15 minutes. Angela Hill has fought everyone, so I'm like, who hasn't she fought? Marina Rodriguez, who just lost to Amanda Lemos in brutal fashion. Listen, MMA math doesn't work, but let's mention something. Angela Hill lost a very competitive decision with Amanda Lemos. Marina Rodriguez got beaten up badly and stopped in that fight. I like the idea of Angela Hill and Marina Rodriguez because it's two girls that have not faced off. Yes, both are in the rankings. Yes, Rodriguez is a little bit higher. She won a semi-controversial one over Yan Xiaonan. She loses then to Amanda Lemos. I think Angela Hill versus Marina Rodriguez is an incredible fight. And I think you give Angela Hill one last chance to really break into that upper echelon. And we need her to fight someone that she hasn't fought. And I mean, Marina Rodriguez has also fought a shit ton of the girls in women's strawweight. This fight makes a lot of sense to me. I'd be very curious to see how it goes. I'd expect Rodriguez to look to grapple a bit here because Angela Hill's striking is to the top of top tier. I think this is the fight to make, though. Angela Hill, Marina Rodriguez. That's UFC Orlando. Every fight to make. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you like this new series? Are you a fan of Every Fight to Make? Do you agree with what I think's probably next for these fighters? Definitely let me know. Much love, my people. I hope you guys enjoyed. Smash the hell out of the likes if you guys are new. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace, everyone.